Does this real life drama come with free therapy? Because it should. And these are your stories. The first one wants to be anonymous. I helped someone lie about an affair once. We are starting off strong today. So in high school, I had this friend. Let's call her Dory. Dory was kind of quiet and shy and didn't date much, but junior year, she met a guy, let's call him James, and they started dating. Over Christmas break in our senior year, James proposed. We all congratulated them, but if I'm being honest, I really didn't think they would actually get married because, well, we were so young and young love doesn't last. Sometimes it does, you guys. There's a few people from my high school graduating class who were dating in high school who are now married with kids and still together. Just a select few, very few, but they are out there. I was wrong though, because the weekend after our graduation, they got married in the park next to our school. It was a nice wedding for what it was, or what two broke teenagers could afford. Not super formal because again, most of us there were also broke teenagers. Imagine a couple in a tux and a wedding dress and then a sea of young kids wearing clothes from Forever 21 and stuff sitting in a park, lol. Sign me up. That sounds wonderful. I would have loved to be there. Honestly, that's looking pretty good for my own wedding because a park? That's a free venue right there. Given they were still broke teens and Dory was the only one working at the time, McDonald's, where I later worked with her, remember this part, they lived with James's dad and we will call him Dave. And that is where I later lived too. Again, remember this. You're really trusting my memory over here. Dave had converted the detached garage into a makeshift sort of tiny home for them. And by the end of summer, I was living out of Dave's guest room. That was a really fun summer. We would hang out and have parties and Dave never cared. In fact, because drinking age was 21, Dave would buy beer for us if we needed it. Oh boy. I mean, cool dad award, but I'm sure parents out there might have an issue with this. He and his friends would also hang out with us sometimes when we would have these parties, but I always just thought it was just cause he was a cool dad and it was his house. So yeah, that tracks, right? As an adult in my 30s though, I now see that this is super weird for 40-plus-year-old dudes to want to hang out with drunken teenage girls. Yep. Anyway, one day Dory and I got home from our Mickey D's job and James had gone out for a boys' night. So Dave decided we should have a girls' night there at the house since we had worked so hard all day and deserved to relax. Dave poured glasses of wine for us, sat and gossiped with us while we did our nails, and eventually we started playing music and just all dancing together. At some point, I got pretty tipsy and tired, so I went to my room and laid down while they stayed in the garage house. I took a nap for a while, and when I got up to get something to eat, guess who was on the couch? And guess what they were doing? What? Yeah, Dory and Dave on the couch doing exactly what you think. I didn't say anything, I just ran back to my room. I'm gonna need a second to digest this. Okay, father who's in his 40s. He has a son, James, who got married to Dory, who's fresh out of high school, correct? At this time? Not to mention, Dory is also his son's wife. I don't like this story anymore. The next day at work, I was cleaning the dining room when James came in. He cornered me at one of the back tables and started asking if Dory and Dave have been in a relationship. I panicked and I just started denying everything because I didn't want her to know that I had seen. And I also was cornered against a table by a guy almost twice my size who was very emotional. Unfortunately, we were very slow, so when I looked around for any customers to talk to or something else to clean, there was no escape. So I finally just said, I really don't think they are. I think it's fine. I'm at work. Luckily, James accepted this answer and backed off, and I scurried away to the kitchen. When I got to the kitchen, I was then confronted by Dory. Right, because you guys work together. You told me to remember that. I panicked again and I said, I didn't say anything, okay? Needless to say, there was a weird tension in the house for the next few weeks that I lived there. When they had parties, I started staying in my room until I eventually moved out, which is probably good because this all spiraled sort of quickly. In October, Dory announced that she was 2 months pregnant. James was really excited. How do we know whose it is? All our friends noticed the weird tension was gone, they stopped partying, and James got a job. I kind of suspected but didn't want to bring anything up if they were all past it. In late March, Dory gave birth to her son. Again, I thought about what I saw that night months ago, but given James and Dave are father and son who look alike, the baby looked like both of them. So if they were past it and nobody was bringing it up, I was going to let it go too. I know, but I grew up the kid of divorced parents and didn't want to put another kid through that. A few weeks down the line, I went to visit them and their baby. He was absolutely adorable, but even his cuteness couldn't take away the weirdness between Dory, James, and Dave. While I was there, Dave made a comment. Well, how does James even know he's the dad? Which made it go from kind of weird vibes to way uncomfortable. So I left. The downfall eventually played out on Facebook. James found out and posted it all. How his dad slept with his wife and they were getting a divorce, all the way to talking about taking a paternity test and finding out the baby was his dad's. It really just keeps getting worse. I quit talking to them, but kept them on social media for a while to just watch it play out. They divorced, James moved in with a cousin of his, and Dory and Dave ended up getting married. And raising their son together. Oh my God. I truly have no words other than free therapy is very well deserved in this scenario. For Dory. And for James. I'm like, wait, I got all mixed up here. The next story also wants to be anonymous. Am I the a-hole? My sister-in-law passed away and my brother-in-law started to date one of her classmates within months of the funeral. Interesting. The brother-in-law dated, let's call her Mary, for over 1.5 years. During that time, we got to know Mary as she knew he was estranged from the family due to his previous wife, and she felt he needed his family during this time of mourning. Mary had a daughter that was 15, and while I had a daughter and son a couple years older, alone with my brother-in-law having 2 about the same age as mine. What? You know, punctuation is a beautiful thing. Is that making sense to anyone else? Because I just read it how it was written. Since all the kids were around the same age, they all hung out when we came to visit on weekends during the summer. We live an hour away from all of them. One day, my brother-in-law decided Mary was a narcissist and broke it off. Since we spend the summer weekends together, I still kept in contact with Mary as my son and her daughter got close and would do things together. One thing led to another and our kids started dating. Since winter was coming and travel would be hard, we did not go back to my in-laws' house during this time. So being the nice person that I am, I offered if they were ever in town and Mary and her daughter needed a place to stay, my house was welcome. Boy, do I regret that now. Let's just say they spend every weekend at my house for the next 4 months. My brother-in-law decided he wanted nothing to do with Mary and refused to be at any event that she was at. With that understanding, when we had Thanksgiving at our house, Mary and her daughter were not to come visit. Mary had a fit and claimed that she was family and that my brother-in-law did not get to dictate what happened at my house. As a family, we all questioned her behavior, but we kind of shrugged it off. Come Thanksgiving night, Mary and her daughter showed up to spend the next 5 days at our house to do some Christmas shopping. My husband and I had discussed how we did not want them spending so much time at the house, and we needed weekends to ourselves and not to have to entertain Mary every weekend. No matter what we did or said, Mary kept showing up and claiming that my son said it was okay. Which he did because he wanted to see his girlfriend. The weekend of Thanksgiving, I had to work early, so they all went out to dinner without me. My daughter mentioned seeing our neighbor, and if he did not know the situation because Dad and Mary were sitting on the same side of the table, It would appear my husband was cheating on me. They came home after dinner and played some games with a blow-up doll that Mary had brought. What do you mean? Played some game with a blow-up doll? What do you mean blow-up doll though? Mary and my husband like to drink, so they got along great and were flirting and making inappropriate actions with this doll. I was just not prepared for everything that's in this video today. Honestly, I need free therapy. From what I could see on the cameras and from what my daughter said, nothing more happened. I don't have very many friends, so it was nice to have someone to talk to. Guess her asking about my husband and my relationship a month earlier and telling me I deserve better should have sent a red flag, but it did not. Fast forward to the next weekend after the doll incident, and Mary and her daughter showed up again to spend the weekend at our house. This is when I found out that Mary had a single friend who lived in town who she and her daughter could have stayed with for the past 4 months. I was serious, but I kept it inside for my son's sake. My husband decided to head to bed early since he and Mary had too many drinks that night. Mary was sleeping on the chair when she woke up. She said, "Oh, I should probably head downstairs to bed. But I am just too tired, so I think I will go hop in bed with your husband as it is closer."
What is going on here?
Yup, she said that with a straight face, being serious. And at that point, that's where I kill someone. I was pissed and I made the smart-ass comment that the bed was not big enough for both of us, let alone her. The room she was staying in, right under our bedroom, and you could hear things through the vent, so I quietly told my husband what she said, and he just blew it off as nothing. The next day, when she was gone, my husband and I had a discussion about this, and I explained how uncomfortable it made me. He understood and then had a boys' day with a friend of his and his brother-in-law before we left our vacation. This friend admits to doing things with Mary because he was lonely and needed a woman since he had not been with one for 4 years. I guess there is no bro code, to which I assumed there would be. My brother-in-law stated he could have her and gave his wishes for him to date her. My brother-in-law had sent text messages between them and assumed something was going on. Against my better judgment, Mary and her daughter stayed at my house on the day after Christmas so they could grab my son and head off to a week-long vacation. When they got back, my husband had mentioned that Mary had texted him looking for a partner for a bowling tournament coming to her town. Why does she have his number? She had plenty of other people who could be her bowling partner, but she wanted my husband to be. My husband showed me a photo of the date he had taken from their Snapchat conversation. I asked where the rest of the conversation went, and he said, "Funny thing, she deleted it when I took a screenshot." I asked if I should be worried. He said, "Not unless she gives good BJs." What a thing to say. Mary texted my son and husband for plans for the weekend of the bowling tournament. My husband mentioned to Mary that I would be attending, and she stated that the bowling alley is smoky and loud and that I could stay at her place if I wanted. He said he would talk to me and get back to her. Mary texted my son and told him the plan was to come down Friday and spend the night so that my husband could attend the bowling tournament the next 2 days. Then she texted the plans to my husband, explaining that he could come down and spend the night, get some money, and then they would bowl in the tournament the next day. Girl, what are you about to say right now? Needless to say, I was left at home as I had to work Friday night and Saturday over my dead body. You could put me down, deceased, right here on the floor, and they could be going at it right above me, and I'm telling you, I will rise from the dead. No chance is this happening. After your suspicions, your husband's just gonna go out of town, but I can't. I'm really getting annoyed. Friday came and I pleaded with my husband not to go, and he claims if he felt uncomfortable that he would leave. No, I feel uncomfortable, so don't go. The whole weekend, Mary Snapchatted my husband, telling him sweet dreams and hoping he would not get so drunk that he could not bowl the next day. Plus, sent a group photo of her and my husband at the bowling tournament to our group's text. My son came home on Saturday for work, and my husband ended up spending the night at his parents' Sunday night due to the health care his dad had. I am not sure I believe my husband when he claims he did not do anything. Mary had taken the phone away from him when I was trying to talk to him on Saturday, claiming that I had to run an errand. I was so furious at my husband and Mary, I refused to talk to either of them that weekend. When my husband came back, we had a big fight because he and his whole family, including my children, felt that I overreacted and I should apologize to Mary. I have stood my ground, and I messaged Mary that she is no longer welcome in my house and to never contact me again. When I told my family why Mary was not around because she had weaseled her way into our lives too, they explained they saw her flirting with my husband, but did not say anything. My husband finally admitted he liked the attention Mary was giving him, and we are in counseling to work on our marriage. I did tell our family they are welcome to still be friends with Mary, but she is not welcome at my house, and I would not be talking to her anymore. My family has kept in contact with Mary as our children are still dating, and my mother loves drama, so she will keep being friends because sometimes she despises me. So, am I the a-hole for shutting her out of our lives? You don't need to ask me. I think everybody knows what I'm gonna say. My feelings could not be more clear. So let me know yours in the comment section. I don't have the energy to go off on another rant. On that note, I should probably hydrate and calm down. So grab your beverage of choice and cheers. Drink some water. Drink some water and don't be like Mary.
I will do anything in my power to bug her while she's sleeping.
The lovely show.
She's so annoyed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you trying? Oh, the kisses. I knew she would cave. You can't help it. You love me. You love me. Ugh, stinky.
Oh, yeah. Nice breath right in my face.
Stinky doggy breath.
Update. She's sleeping on my head and I have not moved. Oh, to be a dog and just sleep all day, every day. It must be nice. Chicken leg.
Next story also wants to be anonymous. The housekeeper who stole an inheritance in a small northern town. Everyone knew everyone's business. Oh, sometimes I wish I lived in a town like that. Just because I'm nosy. I want the tea in real time. That's why when whispers began spreading about a housekeeper named Vonda, people paid attention. Vonda had been hired after a man named Petro lost his wife. She was meant to help with small things like cutting his hair, tidying his home, taking him on errands. At first, it seemed like a blessing, but slowly, Petro's drinking spiraled out of control. His family even arranged for taxis and the local liquor store to stop selling to him. For a while, it worked. Then Petro began turning up with giant bottles of whiskey. The family soon realized Vonda was supplying him with alcohol despite being told he was not to have any. That is where his health collapsed. He ended up in the hospital repeatedly after drunken falls. When Vonda was finally fired, she didn't disappear. She kept sneaking around, bringing him booze in secret. Not long after, Petro passed away, and that's when the real betrayal surfaced. His son, Felipe, discovered the life insurance beneficiary had been changed from him to Vonda. The change was suspicious from the start. The signature on the form didn't match Petro's handwriting. The document had been notarized by a woman at the town office who had her own long-standing grudge against Felipe. Records showed that Petro had undergone double shoulder surgery that very day. Vonda had signed him out of the hospital, and when he was brought back later, he was intoxicated. The family hired a handwriting specialist who confirmed what they suspected. The signature was a forgery. Even more damning, Vonda had been in charge of Petro's mail. When the insurance company switched providers, the new beneficiary form had arrived in Petro's mailbox, and Vonda had her hands on it the very same day it was mysteriously signed. Felipe took her to court. The case consumed more than half of the inheritance, but it was never about the money. It was about justice. In the end, they reached a settlement. 3/4 went to Petro's family. Vonda was awarded 1/4, but every cent of it went to her lawyers. She walked away with nothing. Thank God. Meanwhile, her husband, Kelsey, tried his own form of intimidation. He confronted Felipe, but the plan backfired. Felipe fought back, leaving Kelsey humiliated. Around town, people whispered about Kelsey's other schemes. He had gone around bragging about big purchases, buying things on credit cards, and promising to pay once the life insurance came through. One of those purchases was a boat from a local man, a boat he later had to return when the whole scam collapsed. When the dust settled, the fallout was brutal. For months, they stayed hidden, too ashamed to be seen in public. Years later, Vonda resurfaced with an apology, blaming it all on her husband. But the damage had been done. The family hadn't just lost money, they lost trust, betrayed by the very person hired to protect an old man in his final years. That is actually so sad. I'm just thinking about the scam part, but when you think about, like, she was hired after he lost his wife, and she was supposed to protect this man at all costs, not take advantage of him. And essentially, surely she's got to be charged for, like, attempted murder. Like, she knew his health. She was poisoning the man by giving him all the alcohol. Wow, the stories today are wild. We have another one, and it's coming in from Keith. Hi, Joss. I'm a 67-year-old recent widower after 45 years together. Immediately tearing up. My heart. My heart. I just have such a soft spot, obviously, for widowers. Doesn't matter when, because of Matt's mom passing away, and just like, I see his dad and his struggles. So, Keith, hello. I'm so sorry. That's so sad. And I've gotten somewhat hooked on your YouTube videos to help get through the days. Keith, what are you doing to me, man? I'm actually so touched. My eyes immediately well up every time. I cry over everything. You guys know this. But I never want to ruin my makeup, so I'm really holding it together. That means everything to me. I can't even get into it, but I want to hug you. I'll share an ancient story. Summer of 78. I wish I could remember her name. Guess we can go with Sally. I was a nerd and naive in high school, so never had a girlfriend until college. Home for the summer, I worked in a factory with friends. After work, we would frequent the gym because nothing better than working out after an 8-hour shift in a hot factory. A very pretty young lady sitting on the edge of the gym pool caught the eye of my closest friend. I'll call him Bob because that's his name. Who, by the way, had a girlfriend. And he bet me that I couldn't ask her out. So I did, and she said yes, to his surprise. We dated all summer. She really wanted to see Meatloaf in concert at the end of August, so I got us tickets. Then about 2 weeks before the concert, she suddenly decided she might want to break up with me. I should mention her parents loved me, and I used to spend Friday evenings playing cards with them. Mistake, maybe? So, Bob arranged a small get-together with the two of us and his girlfriend at his house, a day before the concert, to supposedly help us patch things up before the concert. Towards the end of the evening, Bob's girlfriend left, and Sally didn't want me to drive her home, so Bob offered to take her, and I left somewhat crushed and slightly suspicious. Sally made it clear she didn't want to go to the concert with me, so I took my sister, and we were supposed to meet up with Bob and his girlfriend, plus another couple at the concert. They were lawn seats, no cell phones back then to help find each other. Isn't that crazy? We used to do that in high school too, because I didn't have a cell phone in high school. It's like very few people had a cell phone when I was in high school. I never found Bob at the concert. The next day, Bob's girlfriend came to the house to let me know Bob broke up with her an hour before the concert and took Sally instead. I confronted him on the factory floor. I was not very nice about it. I could have handled it better, but I was pissed that he would do that. So that appeared to be the end of the story for me, until some weeks later when I got a call from Sally's parents at about 3 a.m. on a Friday night, asking why I kept her out so late and asking if she was okay. Sally had never told them we broke up and was using me, because her parents liked me, as a cover for the fact that she was now with Bob. It would have been interesting to hear that conversation when he brought her home. I tried to reach out to Bob via Facebook recently to apologize for my reaction, even though he was clearly a jerk. It doesn't excuse my behavior. You're just a nice guy, Keith. But never heard back. Unfortunately, I lost a girlfriend and a friend that summer of 1978, all in one night. But when looking at things that happened in our past, it is important to remember that the life we lived after those moments would not have been possible without those moments. And I ended up meeting my true love and soulmate, and we were together from January 1979 until I lost her last year. So no regrets. What a way to end. A beautiful life message from Keith. Keith, I am just sending all the love and condolences. And I know they probably doesn't help in any way, but it truly like touches my heart, and it makes me sad for everybody, because we all have to lose people in life. And why? I need therapy. I'm in therapy. Clearly. Have a good day, everyone. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy and listen to Keith's words of wisdom, not mine. Goodbye.